Thank you, Jonathan. I read his thesis. It's not as boring as he said it was. I wouldn't recommend it, though. 8 years ago, my godfather, Zach, told me that New College was a haven for free thinkers. As a high school student, I was completely tired of the normative educational standards. I was so enticed by the idea of independent study paired with narrative evaluations. And I craved a learning environment that not only provided the infrastructure for me to mold my scholarly mind, but really encouraged me to do so. Standing before you right now, I can tell you that I got so much more than I ever could have asked for, and it's because of a lot of the people standing in this room. As an environmental studies student with a sociological perspective, I greatly benefited from the student-centered tutorial system that allowed me to mold and focus my academic path instead of taking class after class after class. The Environmental Studies Department uses an interdisciplinary approach to understand how humans are yoked to the environment, not a part of it, not separated from it, but completely yoked. And the disciplinary method used to figure out this challenge is based on 5 key concepts. It's based on scale, systems, value, place, and change. And through this program, students are encouraged to align their personal academic interests with the interests and needs of the local and global community so that we can not only ask important questions, but we can also answer the important questions. And that's very important in a day when there's so many questions. In short, we are a department that trains environmental problem solvers, and that's really big business these days because there's a lot of environmental problems. Through this branch of New College's liberal arts program, my accumulated knowledge and practice and the guidance of professors and advisors has really created a pad for success, a launching pad, and I have a backpack full of jet fuel that is just waiting to explode. While learning the necessary theory and history of the environment, which is vast, I found one truth constantly popping up, and that is food. Like Jonathan says, very important. It shapes our culture, our society, the natural landscape, and it's not going away because we need it every day. So after discovering this, I knew that I had to create my own curriculum. I knew that I couldn't just take environmental studies courses. I needed tutorials. Since that point, I've been involved in 11 tutorials, 9 of which were just about food. The production, the consumption, the aesthetic value, who gets it, who doesn't have it, where it grows. And I just couldn't stop learning about how important it was. I started in the fields, not reading, but getting my hands really dirty in local organic harvests. And then I went on to learn about aquaculture with Courtney Smith for her thesis about the ecology of sustainable seafood and fish farming. And she took us to a forum about slow food, and in the crowd there was a chef. And this was a turning point in my entire academic career as I watched this chef communicate with a panel of marine biologists about how restaurants in Sarasota need to spearhead a sustainable seafood movement. And at that point, I realized that, oh my goodness, I haven't been learning for a couple years at college, I've been learning my whole life. And I have a lifetime of restaurant experience that I need to put into my academic path. It's really good. My mom taught me how to use a knife when I was 3 years old at Ryder's Steakhouse in Chippewa Falls, definitely an omnivore's dilemma. And since then I've always considered the kitchen and a restaurant as a classroom, but it was always in the back of my head until Courtney brought us to this forum, and then pretty much a light went on. So I didn't know how I was going to research restaurants. I had no idea. I just knew there was something there. So thank God we have the freedom here where I could create tutorial after tutorial my own reading lists, my own curriculums, so that I could go into history and figure out, why are restaurants so important? Why are there 500,000 of them in the United States? And what I found was really quite outstanding. The strongest lesson that hit home for me comes from the Latin root in restaurant, restare, which means simply to restore. Restaurants were the original pharmacy. They were institutions where malnourished citizens, sick people back before electricity existed, would go to heal themselves with food. They were the doctor's office. And during the French Revolution, they were referred to as mansions of health. I wish I spoke French so that I could say that and sound very suave, but the lesson is still as important. And this really sparked my imagination to figure out, how can restaurants restore themselves? Because like Jonathan said, food nowadays is not what it used to be. And the only way things are gonna get better is if we bring it back. So restoring restaurants on a global and local scale is really going to make quite a difference. Currently, the scientific community is building consensus about climate change. They think that it's caused by anthropocentric consumption of energy, which causes CO2 in the atmosphere, raising, bad greenhouse gases and causing, popularly referred to, global warming. That term doesn't really mean anything other than there are a lot of problems that need to be fixed. But while they debate, environmental sociologists like myself are finding solutions. We have no time to waste. And when you're trying to solve a problem that is so big you can't see it, so gigantic it affects everyone, it's best to break it down into the parts. Look for the leverage points in society where if you press a button, huge change occurs. And if energy causes climate change, then look for the sources of energy, right? Find the institutions that waste it and fix them. In the United States of America, the food service industry uses more energy per square foot than any other industry in the entire United States. It's very valuable ground. And if you fixed how restaurants use their energy, if you made them more efficient, you would affect the national energy consumption by numbers that haven't yet been measured because not many people can imagine it. Think next, like Jonathan said, restaurants employ more people than any other industry other than the United States government. So if you had national restaurant reforms, it would educate the second largest workforce towards an environmentally aware future, which is exactly what we need, because education, that's the key to justice. And finally, restaurants, there are 500,000 of them, and 90% of them will fail. That's just statistically unsustainable, but it's great, because that is a huge opportunity to create change. If you've got an industry that needs a lot of help, and you go in there with environmental knowledge and sociological welfare, you can really create great change. So as my thesis year was approaching and I had all of this knowledge building up in my head, I still had no idea what I was doing. But then I realized, hey, I work at the Four Winds Café. It's student run, it's student owned and operated, and it needs help. Oh, that's for sure, just like every other restaurant. But what it has is a menu built on the most sustainable food you can find. Local, organic agriculture right down the street. And we have a strong staff with imaginative students. And together, next year, as manager, with the staff, we are going to take the Four Winds Café and turn it into a 4-star restaurant. There are only 7 in the United States, 7 restaurants recognized for this honor. And we're going to be the 8th. We're going to be the first in Florida, and we're going to be the first college restaurant ever certified. And that is only possible. The chance of that is only possible because New College gave me the freedom to figure out what I wanted to study, to figure out where my career was going to go based off of my education. During these past semesters, I've truly started to understand that the liberal arts program at New College has been my personal springboard. And this is really great that you use that metaphor up and down, because it really is a springboard into the business world. Because it gives you the freedom to find your passion, identify the opportunity of action, and then turn your education into a career. And for me, I did it before I got my diploma. And I may be a special case, but it's definitely possible for every student at New College to do just exactly what I have said. After next year is done and the Four Winds has changed forever, I intend to bring my thesis, my thesis plan, I call it Eco Delta to the third, to every state college in Florida. We're all linked by an outside organization called Florida Yes, which brings environmental leaders at the college level together so we can trade secrets and figure out how to bring Florida as a state to a higher level, which is great because the seashore is right chasing us, you know? And that's brilliant that it all started here, because in 5 years from now I could be coming back to you saying we have an entire league of colleges that have vowed to change their restaurants. And that is going to train a future generation of restaurateurs, of social entrepreneurs to make a difference in the world by taking their craft and turning it into an art form, but giving it the foundation and the security of being environmentally sustainable. My academic journey at New College provided me with support and freedom at the same time, knowledge and inspiration to go above and beyond what I expected. As a soon-to-be alumna, I feel most confident that this degree, even though it doesn't say anything about what I learned, will provide me what I need to have a lucrative and meaningful career. It has been my absolute honor to be an honors college student at New College of Florida, and a great privilege to share this with you. Thank you so much, and I'd like to give special thanks to Jeannie Viviani. I don't think anybody understands how hard she works and how little she sleeps. And she really believes in New College, even by evolving the thesis showcase to become New College, New Scholars, really shows you that New College is always new. We are always changing. We're always looking for the next step, and coming here was the best decision of my life, and it really prepared me for the next step in my life. So thank you. Thank you so much.